All right, dish number 2.
Yeah, great. So we're gonna do our Asian pear and roasted cabbage dish. Definitely the most composed dish on our menu.
Right.
So we were just talking a little bit about plating.
Right.
This one, more than any other of our plates right now, really relies on the plating, just so it sort of eats cohesively. I know that sounds a little silly, but you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
As we start plating, I think you'll understand.
But is eating cohesively something that you think about often, at least when you're talking about small plates?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's super important to think about how the guest is going to enjoy each component of a plate. Because if you don't, people can miss things, you know?
Well, also, I think there can be the misperception that small plate is just a small portion.
Yeah, right. Plate. Which really isn't true.
Right. No. So, yeah, maybe it's more like a short story versus a novel.
Right, exactly.
So if a full meal is a novel.
Yeah, then we would be telling short stories, and you really have to make a strong impact.
Good opening
in a really
line. You have to have a hook.
Right. A short period of time. So.
And something is then revealed. Okay, continue.
Right. So we're starting here with mustard.
Yep.
So this is just a Dijon mustard, and then pickled mustard seed. So there's a little bit of pickled brown mustard seed in there as well.
Okay.
That's a textural thing. You're going to get these mustard seeds that sort of pop in your mouth.
Right.
They're sort of sweet, they're sort of sour.
And is that something you do here at the pickling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Really anything that we do in the restaurant that's pickled, cured, everything except cheeses we make here.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So we're just going to sort of spread this around the plate on one side.
I'm noticing you have a brush technique. Yes, like
Yeah. That's really. I used to work in fine dining, and that's like it's a thing.
Oh, is it? Were you a waiter in fine dining?
No. I was a server. I'm sorry, I was a cook. Yeah.
Oh, that's when you were in East Coast. Is that
right?
Okay.
Yeah, Chicago and New York.
Where was it in Chicago again?
I worked at Blackbird.
Okay.
Alinea.
Right.
And then I worked at a restaurant called Spring, which is no longer there.
Oh, okay.
So next up on this plate, this really, really beautiful seared Savoy cabbage.
Oh,
so, everybody gets really excited about meat, big cuts of meat.
Right.
This beautiful ribeye steak, right? This right now is like my favorite component piece of produce that we have in the restaurant.
Right.
It's amazing. So we just sear this on one side, dark, and it gets cooked the whole way on that one side.
How do you sear it?
In a cast iron pan.
Cast iron.
Yeah,
okay.
Olive oil, salt, cast iron pan. We let the cabbage do the work. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we're just going to give that a little cut one side. Do the same thing over here. A little cut. Okay. And then we're just going to sort of work this guy around that crescent. Okay.
Okay.
So this is sort of what I'm talking about now when I said that plating is super important on this one, right? If we just sort of put this on top of it, as we start to put components on there, it can get really muddy.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to see all of the components. It's sort of hard to eat. It gets unwieldy. As we build this, you're able to see every component on the plate. You're able to know exactly what you're getting into, and aesthetically, it's beautiful.
Right.
So we have a little bit of 20th century Asian pear. This is just raw, and it's roll cut. Okay. Sweet, good amount of acid. And these Asian pears are beautiful. Coming from Terra Firma Farms right now. We also have the same pear, sliced, okay, sitting in a little bit of fermentation liquid. So this is a brine that we made to ferment our house-made jardinera. We take some of that liquid and we quick pickle these pears. Quick pickle means? Yeah, so we pour this fermentation liquid over them maybe an hour before service.
So
really quick pickle. Okay. It's just going to be a little bit salty, a little bit sour. Gotcha. So we're going to work those guys in, just like that. Okay. A few Gaeta olives, sort of in there as well. Okay. And then right here, we have really beautiful Fiscalini cheddar coming from California. It's an 18-month cloth-bound Fiscalini cheddar. And this stuff is like pretty amazing.
Really?
Yep. It's really pretty incredible. And it's all cave aged, which is really cool. really do that in the United States very much. So
They don't?
super cool that it's made in California. Okay,
Right.
so we're just gonna olive oil that a little bit, just like that. We're gonna do a little fleur de sel at the top. We're gonna garnish this guy with a little bit of dill. Okay. And then we're gonna finish the plate with mosto cotto, which is a Italian grape condiment. So it's grapes, their seeds, the skin, all cooked down together, so it's sort of tannic and
Right.
sweet. We take the stems off of them, char them in the wood oven until they're ash,
Ah, right.
and then add that back in.
I recall you talking about this the other day.
So we're just gonna put a little bit of that. Little goes a long way here. So we're just gonna put a little bit of that right in the center.
And where is that? This what did you call it?
Mosto cotto.
Mosto cotto. And where is that from? In terms of like
so-
the recipe or the tradition.
Oh, so it's Italian, but they do it sort of all over Italy.
Oh, do they?
Right? It's all over Italy they grow wine grapes, and in general they use wine grapes to make mosto cotto.
Right.
So
And that's traditionally used the ash from the stems. And
Yeah,
such?
yeah, that's
And
definitely.
is that a
thing.
flavor component or is that
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of a little bit of bitterness, and then also you get this.
thickener? Does it thicken
No,
it?
not as much thickening because there's a lot of pectin in the seeds,
Ah, right.
and that's going to act to thicken.
Right.
Also, you're reducing it down. It's got sugar in it. It's
Right,
going to
right,
thicken anyway.
Right.
But definitely like a little bitter note. There's a little bit of tannins from the skin. All of that working together, I think it makes it more than some of its parts.
Gotcha.
So that's it. That's the Asian pear dish.
More than the sum of its parts. So is that's kind of could be a philosophy behind the small plate as well, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we strive here to make things look really simple when they're really complicated for us, right? I don't want to push things in people's faces.
Right.
I want them to come in. I want them to have a glass of wine. I want them to have a dish, enjoy themselves, eat the food, and really, like, they can either geek out over it or they can just enjoy and relax. I think both of those are really important, and I think that we can offer that to people on either side.
Right. Okay.